Hey, welcome back to Project Me. It's been quite a while and excited to get back into it. In the time since, I had food poisoning at the same time as a migraine. So that kept me out of action for quite a while, but better now, ready to get into it. So, recently I've been thinking a lot about the oxymoron of being. And what I mean by that is one cannot see and understand the light without knowing the darkness, right? It's that sort of idea, and you can sort of apply it to anything. Whether it's you can't be kind without first understanding what it is to be mean. You can't be gentle without understanding violence, right? It's about understanding the positivity. Excuse me, understanding the positive because and despite of the negative. So I've just been very much dwelling on that a little bit, and mostly along the line of what is it that makes someone a good person, right? I mean, obviously it comes down to good traits, but how is it that you recognize that those are good traits? What is it about those traits that are inherently positive, right? And my line of thinking has sort of been along the line of, if you think about it as, first you have the negative trait, right? And we can agree that you can define a negative trait however you wish, be it detrimental to someone else, be it detrimental to yourself, whatever it might be. You have that negative trait, and then it's despite that and through that the positive trait emerges, right? And so if we talk about, say, being gentle and being violent, right? How is it that we understand that someone is gentle? Is it because they are kind and soft? Or is it because we understand what it is to be violent that we recognize them for being gentle? It's a very sort of interesting thought exercise. And it made me think a lot about Egyptian mythology, actually, and how the Egyptians believed that you had the Sea of Chaos. Well, it's a metaphor, the sea, but you had chaos, darkness, and then from that, order came out of it, like an island with an obelisk, right? Order emerged from chaos. Order emerged despite chaos. Order emerged because of chaos. So to apply that same sort of, to analogize it to this, violence, well, being gentle isn't just about, being kind and soft. It's very much the opposite of being violent, if that makes sense. It's the violence that defines being gentle. And I thought that was a really interesting sort of idea, because now to make it broader and apply it to everything in terms of negativity and positivity, nothing positive can exist without the negative, precisely because the positivity is negativity, if that makes sense. It's a bit like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square, sort of thing. Because positivity is rooted in negativity. Positivity isn't the absence of negativity. It's despite the abundance of, if that makes sense. When you learn a lesson, when you learn a very hard fought lesson for yourself, how do you do it? You have to fight to learn it, right? You have to learn the hard way. And that hard path is learning to understand the negative part of it, right? It's drowning yourself in the abundance of the negativity. And then from that sea of negativity from which you drown yourself, you can rise up and claim that positive aspect. Right? It's a very... I find it just so fascinating, this thought exercise, and I just thought I'd share it. But just really, really interesting. I mean, because now it takes negativity to understand, to know, to define positivity, and then from that, it takes negativity to become positive. It's just so interesting. Which, and then I was on that line of thought, and I thought about, I wish I could, I tried finding this quote before the video. Well, yeah, I tried finding it. I couldn't find it. Otherwise, I'd share who it was by. But maybe someone else had better luck than me. I don't know. But it brought politics into it, and so forgive me for this. But it spoke about how, if given the choice between two radicals, one being an excited, very eager radical, and the other being a dejected, a sad, very depressed radical, one should always choose the latter. One should always choose the depressed, sad, dejected radical. Right? And I remember coming across this quote and I was thinking, well, why on earth would you do that? Why would you not want someone who's eager, to undertake change? If you had to be choosing between radicals, which I never think we should be doing, but progress is slow, and that's besides the point. I was thinking, well, why choose the dejected radical? And then the quote carried on, and it said something along the lines of, the eager radical will always become the next generation's oppressor. They're so eager to implement the change that they lose sight of the objective in the process of obtaining it. Right? And then it carried on to say, the dejected radical, in contrast, understands the sacrifice that must be made, and so for that reason will not undertake it lightly. Right? And it, like all quotes, they are often very, not like all quotes, many quotes, especially that one, uses terms in very black and white. Right? And so there are many things that you could disagree with there, but I thought, the basic principle, I think, is true. If given the choice between someone who's very, very eager to implement change and one who's no less eager, but is grappling with the sacrifice that must be made to do it, one should always choose the one who understands the sacrifice. Right? I would much rather have someone who understands what it is to lose and then win, than someone who is focused purely on winning. So to bring that back to the oxymoron of being, again, negativity exists not in the absence, positivity exists not in the absence of negativity, but because of it. It exists despite the abundance of negativity. Right? So again, one cannot fathom, one cannot understand or know what the light is without first seeing, knowing, and understanding the dark. And taking that entire discussion and now applying it to what it is to be a person. What is it that makes a good person? Is it someone who's been a bad person and rises above it to become good? Right? that might be the easiest black and white term to embody this discussion, but I think it gets to the point. But what is it that makes a person good? And of course, then the discussion becomes far more nuanced when you consider that your perception of people is not necessarily what they are as well. Right? We talked a little bit about that in the last video, about the judgment, passing judgment on people. Right? Your perception is never quite accurate. So it complicates the whole thing. So at the end of the day, all you can really know is yourself. So am I a good person? This is, I think, the question. This is the question we're all on some level a little bit afraid of, and for good reason. It's very confronting, right? Am I a good person? I'd like to think so. So would everyone else. But is that necessarily true? I often, because of this sort of negativity, positivity thing, I do often wonder if I have to touch the dark to choose the light. Do I have to trip and do something immoral to then pick myself up and do what's right? You know, how else will I know right from wrong if not by doing wrong? You know, so it's very, very, like everything in life, nuanced, dynamic. It's a very hard question to answer, and we're always changing as well, which makes things easy, which makes things hard. Excuse me. Oh my god, it's been 12 minutes, and I feel like I've talked about absolutely nothing. Wow, we're going to end it here, but I thought that was a really, really interesting idea, and I just wanted to share that with all of you. But yeah, anyways, I hope you're all well. I hope you're all doing really, really well, and I trust you'll have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, your night, your evening, your week, your second breakfast tomorrow, your afternoon tea, whatever it may be. Take care, guys. Cheers.